Hello, welcome to World of Floorcraft. I'm Nelson Rose, and this is another video clip answering your dance questions. We've got 4 questions as is our normal format for these, and the first one we have this time is someone's asking for advice because they're struggling to add new moves. From this, they can do the beginner moves, but they're struggling to add moves after the beginner moves. My advice would be very simply, any new move you want to learn it on its own, practice it until you're really pretty comfortable with it, and then just pick 2 easy beginner moves you know really well. Usually something like a first move or a man spin or an arm jive. Obviously pick moves that are going to join nicely, so something that naturally ends in the hand the new move you want to do starts in. So say you want to learn a pretzel and you've never done a pretzel before, you learn the pretzel on its own, then when you finish practicing a pretzel so that you really feel like you've got it, a first move would end in a left hand and make it nice and easy. So you could do a first move, go into the pretzel off the first move, and at the end of the pretzel you'd naturally go into a basket, or you could just do the return and go into a first move. Might be a really good idea to practice both. Do that little routine of beginners, intermediate, beginners, until it feels really comfortable, and then you should find that you can add it in whenever you feel like it when you're dancing freestyle. So yeah, lots of practice, and sandwich the new thing between things you're really happy with already. Next question. How do I remember all my moves, and how many are there? So this is obviously a guy thing. When I started, there were something like 220 moves when I was a beginner. A year later there were 370 something, because people were adding things all the time. That number has been climbing and climbing and climbing, and it kind of loses its meaning after a while, because you make one small change to it and you go, is that a new move or is it just a variation on an old move? There are thousands and thousands and thousands of variations, and obviously you can't remember thousands and thousands and thousands of variations, and you shouldn't even try. What I would recommend is get familiar with your moves, and as a beginner you'll learn moves and you'll tend to do them in chunks. You'll do routines, and then when you get a bit better you'll break the routines down into moves, and you'll do whatever move you fancy doing next. When you get more experienced again, instead of doing moves, you'll break the moves into movements. So a first move is 7 counts long, and there's a different movement for count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4, and you can put those movements together in different ways. So you can end up doing a move that you've never done before by putting together pieces you already know in an order you've never done before. So instead of learning thousands and thousands of moves and trying to remember thousands and thousands of moves, I remember a much smaller number of movements. I put them together how I like, depending upon what I'm listening to. So I hope that answers your question. Basically, remember the movements and the bits of the movements. Don't try and remember all the moves, and you will be able to hold a lot more in your head. But if it's any help, most intermediate dancers that I've taught tend to operate with about 40 to 60 moves, and until you start breaking it down into movements, most people aren't going to hold and use a lot more than that at a time. Occasionally you'll get somebody, but mostly that's where you are. Another fabulous question that we hear a lot: should you spot when you do your spins and turns? Spotting basically means that as you turn, you look at one point. So say I was facing over there, you'd be looking at that point, and as you turn, you'd continue to look over there, and as you went round, you'd flick your head round back to that point, and then your body would catch up with you. So you spend your time looking in the same direction. It's a professional way of doing lots and lots of spins and turns. For most social dancing, you don't need to. If you're only doing singles and you tend to be doing a single one way and a single the other way, spotting tends to keep you oriented and help you stay balanced and things like that. But for singles, and to be fair, if you're experienced doubles and triples, you can get away without spotting, but if you want to, it's a great technique to have in your arsenal, and if you can do it, then you'll probably find as you do more advanced spins and turns it will help you, but you don't have to. And last question from Alex. Don't know whether that's a lady Alex or a guy Alex, but it's, what do you do when you go wrong? And the answer is usually laugh and do something simple. Don't get stressed about it. Going wrong, if you never go wrong, you're probably not really pushing the limits very much, and it's probably pretty boring. So going wrong is not a bad thing. In fact, I can think of many occasions, myself and other people included, where you go wrong and you accidentally end up doing a move you've never done before. In fact, when I was talking about the number of moves going up, quite a lot of those moves came about by people making mistakes, realising the mistake was good and keeping it, and telling other people, and then people replicating it. So mistakes aren't always bad, as long as no one gets hurt. But yeah, best advice, don't stop, don't stress, just laugh and keep moving, and before long you'll be back in comfortable kind of territory and all will be well. And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching World of Floorcraft. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you know when there's a new video coming out, and I'll make sure we are back to filming and getting moves and things up onto the channel really soon. Stay safe out there.